and welcome to Commander's Keep. I'm your host for the day, Dan, and I thought today, rather than the usual deck lists, we'd go for a little bit of a wee rant about the current state of the card game. Well, I love the card game and managed to best point this out that I have played this game for at least 16 years of my life, and I do love the game itself. But the current card market state, who ever thought that putting a Cluedo set would be a viable thing for this? I mean, in contrast to the normal things that happen in Magic, interspell wars or races being annihilated, whole planets being consumed by an unevil sludge of nanites, way to call it if you want, Phyrexia. But yeah, a bunch of guild pack guys die in a hotel or a manor. Yeah, that I'm sorry, you've just failed. You failed as a narrative there. And if we're talking about part of the game is the narrative, then it's a total failure. And the sales projections and sales figures of what's going on at the moment clearly tell you that there's not enough good stuff. And, the players are saying online that blocks should exist and we're going to have good blocks, but no, but probably not. We're going to have some weird in-tie-in events. I could see Garfield fighting Barbie versus Lasagna and Raoul Zurich sitting on the table. Yeah, that doesn't seem like the best sort of idea. It just seems like more you're watching an episode of Toon Animation or one of those Cartoon Network sort of brand things at the middle of 4 o'clock in the morning. It seems more that this set was thought of like an Infinity set. Imagine a space set, all these unusable cards. Yeah, it's kind of like that with most of it. I mean, I pointed out in a previous video, there's like 6 or 7 cards I was interested in. A whole set, 6 or 7. That's just kind of a failure. Should at least have some other banging stuff rather than some good rares amongst a load of chaff. Especially the idea with Playboosters. So if we're going to play more money, should we just have less chaff rather than just rare chaff? I mean, chaff is chaff. You've been playing the game long enough, you know what I'm on about. It's basically cards that are unusable, bulk folders. End up in the landfill most of the time, which to be fair, and this list set should probably end up there. I mean, shooting yourself in the foot if you drew Ravnica Remastered, that's a good idea. Maybe if you were just a price point. Yeah. Price point is clearly where we're at. And see, I think we've been in a downward spiral regarding product quality versus price point for quite a while. The Commander's Master set, please. Some good reprints, yeah. Price point, no. The price point was just not worth it. I mean, maybe if you throw in stuff, and I obviously love certain cards, like Dockside and maybe an Edgar Markov reprint might have probably juiced up the set a little bit in contrast to some cards that are just spiraling. To be fair, it's just like loads of money being spent down on a piece of cardboard. And I love spending money on pieces of cardboard, don't get me wrong, but yeah, what we're doing right now, are we just making utter fluff sets that don't connect together? Cowboys, who cares for cowboys? I mean, it's normally a failure in a set of movie set when it goes to the Wild West or 19 Dickens London, which is essentially what we got for these detectives, or in space. I mean, if your monster, for example, Leprechaun goes into space, you've jumped the shark moment. The shark is now dancing and doing the pogo stank with everyone else. Yeah, this is less normally a rant regarding this because I'm a Commander player now. I used to be a Standard player, but then, I fell out with the game a little bit, but came back in and really enjoyed the pre-builds for the 40k decks. I mean, that worked canonically. It didn't obviously work for the idea of the game as a whole, and it was kind of dropped. If they did a more expanded universe regarding that, I would be more interested. But, a great sort of total fly past would be the Lord of the Rings set. That Lord of the Rings set is basically what Magic asked for. It's tonally the same. It uses fantasy elements. It uses great power. And, these things all work really well in some of the best Magic sets. But if you use stuff like, I don't know, detective squirrels. I mean, I know we're trying to do typo-based stuff for later on in Gloomburrow, which, to be fair, must be a good set. Because if they're throwing so much other ideas regarding moles and voles and rats and other nonsense together to try and get typos so it makes sense regarding that. Maybe there's a long plan from this, but I think whoever's in charge is clearly a bit of an old fuddy-duddy. I'm thinking we're probably going to end up with, I don't know, Extended Universe, Werther's original cards. Yeah, because whoever made the decision to try and typo a game that hasn't been popular from probably the 80s into a card game that's been popular well on from the 90s onwards and still is continuously being popular. I don't know. Whoever decided that was clearly greenlit and probably should not have been given any time in that boardroom. Possibly should be allowed in his nap time and his juice box in the corner, because to be fair, he's probably laying out the pasture scenario. Maybe they're trying to lure in for the investment and the FOMO that didn't really carry on for anything else. I mean, they tried for more FOMO stuff where they put in serialized cards in the Ravnica remasters. Serialized cards, cool. You get one of a number. I get it. You know, it can be collectible, but yeah, it's not entirely for me. I mean, I'm not here to be a collector per se. I've never really been a collector, though I've bought quite a lot of the product. I'm generally a player of the game. And if the game is fun to play, I'll play it. But you do have to draw the line when it gets to the point where you're playing against Garfield Lasagna and, I don't know, you know, Mr. T and some other non-canonical nonsense they'll throw in. I don't know, versus Santa, who makes a reindeer making a goose pie attack you for 42 damage, and, you know, poison 12. I don't know. Maybe this rant is entirely unjustified, but, you know, if you're similar to myself and are wondering where the state of the game is going, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, and we've hit another keystone point. We managed to get to 17 subscribers, so that's all good. If we can hopefully get up for 100 by the end of the year, that would be amazing. But like I say, if you like any of the other videos, feel free to check them out. I'm your host for the day, Dan, signing out.